Hello, Kaz here. We're back in the box, and today we're going to look at the noise gate. Firstly, let me introduce what we have here. So there's my teaching voice on one channel here, so you can ignore that. It's not part of the project. Then we got a voice, and then a bit box, well, a bit made by a human, and then just an EP down here. And with the voice, as you can see, there's nothing on the track at all, like we haven't put any effects or whatever. So if you see on my speaking voice here, this channel, I've got a gate on it here, as you can see. Let me make it bigger so that we're in no doubt what we're looking at. You can see it open when I'm speaking, and when I stop speaking, it's closed. Basically, it has been set so that it can cut out any noise, and right now it's raining heavily outside. Normally I wouldn't have actually put it, but because I've got a window open, the rain sound is coming through. So if I take this gate off now, you'll hear that rain whenever I stop speaking. It cuts it out while I'm not speaking. So that doesn't mean that it has cut out the rain even whilst my voice is going. But if my voice is not running, then any sound that is below the loudness of my voice is actually cut out. So let's go and actually look at it exactly how this thing works. Once again, I've got a demo here. Okie doke. So let's first listen what we're working with. All right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. Okay, you get the idea. This voice has been recorded with the same microphone I'm using now to speak, SM58, and without me switching off the speakers. So that means that the sound of the beatbox and the EP was actually leaking into the microphone. And if I play the voice alone, we hear this. Banagi, all right. In the morning, break of dawn. Yeah. So what we don't want is that in-between sound. We don't want to hear on the vocal track the EP and the drum sounding. Or at the very least, if it's to bleed, we don't want it to bleed that loudly. The noise gate allows us to pass a loud signal through and then stop quieter sounds going through. So once the level drops below the loudness of this vocal, the gate closes. And then when the level is up to the loudness of this vocal, then the gate opens. So let's apply the noise gate and we see how this works. So we go to audio effects here and you'll find it inside the dynamics folder or menu. I've got it huge because someone complained in a previous video that the plugins were too small. There are various controls here, but there are 5 key that we're going to look at: threshold, reduction, attack, hold, and release. The first one, threshold, is the most important. So this first area here is extremely important. This is where you set the level at which your gate will close and open. What you're saying here, now this default that we've found, which is minus 50 dB, is that anything above minus 50 dB will be heard. And then when the level drops below minus 50 dB, the gate will close and you won't hear any of whatever is below this level. That's what the threshold is. It sets the level at which the gate gets engaged, either way, open or closing. If the loudness of the signal is above minus 50, in this case, then the gate will open. If it's below minus 50, the gate will close. Before you even look at anything else, let's just play that back. Banagi. So we have to first set the threshold so that the level is high enough to stop that music playing. So right now, the music that we're hearing before the voice comes in is actually louder than minus 50 dB. So we have to raise it so that it's above. This level has to be above the loudness of that music, which in this case, at this point, is noise on this track. Banagi. All right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up, I wanna break into song. we've got like a threshold of minus 27. So anything below is being cut out, anything above is being kept. But we're getting this kind of like stuttery sound. This is the first setting you make. It doesn't mean that once you've made that, everything is all neat. So it will stutter a bit because it's trying to like work out, okay, is it above, is it below, and so on. So it will keep going back and forth. It gives you this jittery sound, which is not cool. And that will be sorted out by working out these other parameters in this area: attack, hold, and release. But for now, let's first also consider that when it's cutting out, how much is it cutting out? You're deciding how much is being cut out with this reduction. If a level falls below minus 27, it will be shut out, being reduced by this level here. So if I set it at around, say, minus 30, then that means that whatever is below minus 27 on that channel will still play, but it will be reduced by only minus 30 dB. So let's have a look. Banage, all right. So you could almost still hear a few bits if I take it to around like from 0, where nothing is being reduced, and then I'll start to decrease it as we go. Banage, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. You can see there that this controls how much is taken down. Right now, I want it all out. I don't want any bits. I don't want any bits at all. You might wonder, why would you want some bits to still be there if it's noise you want to remove? But noise is not always noise. Like in this case, for example, it's bleed. And if you're doing, for example, with drums, let's say the toms are bleeding onto the snare and vice versa. So on whichever track that you've applied the noise gate, you might want to, yes, reduce the other elements that are bleeding into that particular channel or that particular track, onto that particular track. But you want them to bleed in a more musical sense. So you leave a little bit of it there because these bleeds are sometimes natural. They can actually make the whole mix, when the tracks are all put together, they can make them blend a little bit more. But in other cases, you want to remove it completely. So here, I want it all gone. Let's now deal with that jittery part where it's like stuttering a bit. Before we go on to deal with the attack, hold, and release, let's look at this hysteresis. I can't actually pronounce this word. I don't know whether it's hysteresis, or something like that. But what it means here when we're dealing with a noise gate, it just means that you set another level that when the gate is releasing, it gives you a range of values within which it's releasing, rather than having just minus 27 dB. So if I put this at minus 3 dB, that means it gives us another leeway of minus 3 dB going down. As it's closing, it doesn't close immediately, things fall at minus 27 dB. It allows another 3 dB going down. So that means it finally will close at minus 30 dB. If I extend this and put it to, say, minus 5 dB, then it will eventually close at minus 32 dB. So let's try that and see how that sounds. Banage, all right. So I can even pull this back a bit to maybe minus 7. Banage, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask. Okay, so let's go and work on how soon it comes in. We'll come back at this value here when we have controlled the release, because they kind of work in tandem. I'll explain. So we go to the attack. This is where you set how soon, how quickly, how abrupt, or how softly the noise gate comes in. So if you put it at 0, that means as soon as a level comes in that is above minus 27, the noise gate opens with immediacy. But if you make it a little bit later, that means that the sound will come in, and then the noise gate will take 20 milliseconds to become fully open. So there's like a sense of taking a little bit of time to become fully open, 20 milliseconds. And this can sometimes smooth out the workings of the noise gate so that it's not so abrupt. And that's one of the problems that we're getting now with some of the jittery stuff. So I want to put it maybe at around 4 milliseconds. So it will come in, but it won't be coming in too fast. So let's have a listen to that. Banage, all right. Yeah, maybe a little bit more in. And then we've got this other setting here called hold. What hold is that once we get to the level that we are supposed to release, in this case minus 27 dB, then the hold will hold it back from releasing by the amount you've set here. So it gives you another bit of room so that you can hold some of those things that sometimes are decaying, because you might have a phrase that's going la, and then the noise gate cuts it out because in its decay, as it dies away, a bit of it is below minus 27, but it's still part of the sound that you need. So the hold allows you those few milliseconds that can allow such elements to be preserved. So you set it accordingly. So I'm going to leave it at around, I don't know, minus 40 milliseconds. And again, we have a look at that. Banage, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. You see, I've even got those little like rhythmic sounds within the vocal, and those are being affected by when the gate is opening and closing immediately and stuff like that. Those things also need to be preserved. And when you have the gate kind of like opening fast and closing fast, and it kind of like makes the sound choppy. So now we deal with the release, which means that after that time of the holding on, then the release will start to close the gate. As the gate closes, this gives you like what I would call an automatic fade. If you leave it at 0, then it will just be abrupt. But if you give it some time, like say here, if I set it at 70 milliseconds, then that means that once the sound level has dropped below minus 27, the hold will hold the gate open for another 40 milliseconds, and then the release will take 70 milliseconds to fade out before the gate is completely closed. So all these three, hold, release, and hysteresis, are giving us some allowance. They're giving us some latitude to make the noise gate sound more natural, so that the sound that is affecting is not choppy and jittery the way we were hearing it before. So let's have a listen. Banage, all right. In the morning, and I'm going to increase this. I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up, I wanna break into song. Ooh, it's a new day. Ooh, it's a new day. I've increased the release, and I'm going to make the attack a little bit slower still. Banage, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up, I want that fade out to be smoother. So I'm going to make this release longer still. Banage, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up, I wanna break. And in some cases, this one is feeling too long, so I'm gonna bring it back. Banage, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up, I wanna break into song. Ooh, it's a new day. Ooh, it's a new day. Banage, all right. Yeah, and you can also help this out by having a look ahead. So what the look ahead does is just study the sound a little bit ahead so that the program can make a calculation that is a bit smoother, because it can already see what is happening ahead. I wouldn't want to put this too far ahead, especially if I'm going to use many noise gates on many channels and stuff. And because if you do, it's actually adding to the CPU load because more functionality is going on, more calculations are happening. It will put a certain load on your processor. However, in this case, I'm going to go a little bit mad and say 9 milliseconds. Banagi, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up. Okay, I have to say that on some noise gate, some controls might not be there. You most likely find the threshold and reduction, and then you'll find the attack and release. Sometimes the hold might be called range, or it might not be there at all. It might be working automatically in the background. And there are many noise gates that don't have the hysteresis. And then with real world noise gates, the look ahead is rarely, I've not actually seen it ever. I've seen it mostly on plugins that are working on the computer because it's a computer that is able to actually calculate ahead and do this for you. So it's a very modern thing. Then the other thing that is not normally there is this section here, where once you switch it on, you can set these to filter out things that you don't want to trigger the noise gate, but leave the things that you want to trigger the noise gate to open. And when you have this monitor on, you're listening to the frequencies that you're going to allow as trigger elements for the noise gate. Banagi, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. Now, the thing with this is that the beatbox is done also by a voice and the same microphone by the same person. So the frequencies there are quite similar. If now I play this, Banagi, the frequencies we're hearing there are the only ones that are capable of triggering, but only if they're going over minus 27 dB. So if I take this off now, that was just so that I can hear it. If it's off here, it doesn't mean that actually this functioning is not happening. It's when this is off, then it's not happening. But if this is on, it will work even when this says off, because this switching is just for being able to monitor what you've cut out. And you see it can say band pass or band reject. So you can actually switch over and choose it to define what you want to reject. In this case, we're choosing what we want to actually keep. Everything above 1700 hertz and below 310 hertz has been cut out. Banagi, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up, I wanna break into song. I chose one whereby there's a bleed of music so that you can see better how to actually exploit this. So right now I can even increase the threshold to take it up a bit after I've said these things, because I can see it can be smoother still. Of course, with this kind of thing where the bleed is very continuous, it's tougher to get like a setting on a noise gate that works. But you can clearly see that if I take it off, Banagi, all right. That is too much compared to this. Banagi, all right. With that bleed of the beatbox and the EP suppressed, this is a more workable track now. So if we listen to it now with all the stuff together, it will sound clearer. Banagi, all right. In the morning, break of dawn, I wanna bask in the light. And when the sunshine comes up, I wanna break into song. So you get the idea. I'm not going to look at the darker at the moment. I think we'll look at that when we're looking at more creative ways of exploiting the noise gate. Right now, we're looking at its practical use. So look out for that lesson. I think it will fall into other lessons to do with darking using compression and stuff like that. So right now, we'll stick to the normal gate, using it in its practical sense. Now, in some instances, you'll find some presets that are there that supposedly can give you some starting point. But I think with the noise gate, it's one of those things that is really, really difficult to actually have a preset that you're working from, unless it's a preset you set yourself. But if it's like something that is already inside, yet all the things that you use to set up a noise gate properly are very dependent upon the signal that is coming in. So how would have the programmers of this plugin, how would they have known what your signal is? They can't. They just can't. That means like it's pointless, in my opinion, to even start going into any of these presets. However, just like you see here, I have a preset which is called teaching voice. And that's the one that I'm using for my voice, the other side. That's the one I'm using here because it's something I already set up. I set up myself and I set it up on this system and with this particular microphone and with this particular room in consideration. Should I be somewhere else with a different microphone, all those parameters are different, levels are different, sound input is different, what kind of preamp I'm using, or sound interface and all those kinds of things, that signal will be very different. Even this preset will not work because the only common thing will be my tones, but not the volume, not the space, not the noises, not the whatever. So really, I think with the noise gate, I would say just don't bother with the presets unless you want to kind of like maybe study them and see what a typical electric bass gate might look like. But what is typical, really? So it's not quite the same thing as when you call up like presets of reverbs, delays, and even compression. You can have like a certain starting point for certain things, but there are plugins where this kind of thing just doesn't apply, and a gate is such. So, yeah. Going back to my voice now, the one that's speaking now, if I call up the gate that I put on there, the rain has stopped now. However, it's also helping with the noise within the room because the microphone is at the desk where there are other machines and stuff like that that are making noise within the room. And also when I move the mouse, there are noises that occur. But right now, with the gate activated as it is, you are not able to hear those sounds because whilst my voice is speaking, then my voice overpowers those sounds in terms of level. But if I stop talking, then you are more likely to hear those things unless there is a gate on. So if I remove the gate right now, you'll hear all the noise in the room. The difference is very clear. If I switch it off, there's all that noise. And when it's back on, nice and neat. Yeah, even though those noises are still there when I'm speaking, but my voice is overwhelming them while it's going. But as soon as it stops, then you're able to hear that noise. If it stops, the gate should close, then you hear nothing. Clean like that. So if the sound, the noises that we're trying to remove were hum or hiss, the fan of a computer or fan within the room or whatever other noises that are going on, or bleeds of other instruments, bleeding of other vocals, but they have bleeded onto that track, then you can be able to cut them out. Just bear in mind that the noise gate can't actually cut out the sound. It only cuts it out when the original sound falls below the threshold that you've set here, but it can't cut it out completely. For those sorts of tasks, you have to use other plugins that are more to do noise removal, noise and click removal, as opposed to gating, just closing out the noise. Because closing it out is not removing it. It's a different, those will be different devices. So I hope this makes sense. Look out for future videos that will be dealing with the noise gate for creative tasks as opposed to practical tasks as we did here. Alrighty then, that's it. I hope that was helpful. Take care now.